Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Kari's Confessions, a nonprofit exec tells all. I'm Kari Anderson, your host and principal with Incite Consulting. My podcast explores the tools and strategies that help nonprofit leaders grow their impact and build resilient organizations. As always, I'm here to share some hard earned lessons and honest truths from life inside the nonprofit world. I spent 25 plus years in the nonprofit sector in leadership roles with 7 organizations. Now, I provide coaching and consulting services to ensure that nonprofits, like yours, have the structure, systems, and practices to do your best work. Wherever I go, I continue to hear that nonprofit execs need a space to gather, to receive tools, feedback, and advice that encourages them to stay the course. It doesn't matter if you're in a village of 182 or a metropolis of millions. Nonprofit work is both gratifying and lonely. I'm here to make sure that you have a chance to breathe, laugh, smirk, and get excited again about the important work that you do. So, today's confession: holding the board accountable is one of the fastest ways to create conflict if you do it wrong. Because that phrase, hold the board accountable, sounds reasonable, logical, even professional. And then you say it in a board meeting, and it lands like a brick. Suddenly, people feel called out. Volunteer board members feel judged, and remember, they're all volunteers. Staff get tense, and everyone starts walking on eggshells. If you've been there, hi, you're not alone. I've lived there. So let's set some context and credibility for you. I spent years in the trenches as a board wrangler, a board border collie, and my current personal favorite, a professional people herder. Those are some of the unofficial titles clients have given me running Incite. And I work with nonprofit leaders and boards every single day, often working through things that I wish I would have known as an executive director and board director. Here's what I know for sure. Most board accountability problems are not caused by bad people. They're caused by unclear agreements, inconsistent follow through, and a deep fear of making things awkward. And because nonprofits are relationship heavy, volunteer driven, and emotionally invested, when accountability turns messy, it turns really messy. The good news: you can raise expectations, get commitments honored, and build a strong board culture without creating drama. Let me show you how today. So, why accountability turns into conflict? Here's the real reason accountability becomes conflict. It's usually introduced after things have already gone sideways. You know the hits: a fundraising commitment that quietly died, a board member who never shows up prepared, a committee chair who vanished, a treasurer who's been busy this quarter for the 5th quarter in a row. By the time anyone brings it up, people are already frustrated, and frustration makes language sharper, assumptions louder, and tone harder to manage. I know, I've done it all. Here's the truth bomb: conflict isn't the inevitable result of accountability. Surprise is. When expectations are vague and consequences are improvised, people feel ambushed. So the first move is simple and powerful. Make accountability predictable, not personal. When it's predictable, it feels fair. When it feels fair, it stays calm. So accountability is an agreement, not an attitude. A lot of boards treat accountability like it's a personality trait. She's just not accountable. He's not pulling his weight. They don't take board service seriously. That framing quietly turns into a solvable governance problem, instead into a character judgment. And character judgments create defensiveness every time. I don't care who you are. Instead, treat accountability like what it actually is: a set of clear agreements that are easy to track and normal to revisit. On healthy boards, it's normal to ask, what did we agree to? What got in the way? What do we need to adjust? What support would make this doable? What's the new commitment? That's not confrontation, that's governance. So, I have a no drama accountability system I'll share with you. If you want board members to follow through without conflict, your system needs just 3 things: clarity, people know what's expected; visibility, people can see what's happening; follow up, commitments don't disappear into the board minutes. So let's get practical. One, we want to clarify roles before you reinforce them. Many job descriptions read like aspirational poetry, don't they? Support the mission, be an ambassador, ensure financial sustainability. Okay, but what does that mean on Tuesday at 4 p.m.? If you want accountability without conflict, translate expectations into observable behaviors. Clear role descriptions include attendance expectations, giving policies that are specific and reviewed annually, what fundraising actually looks like, committee participation norms, ambassadorship expectations, term limits, and renewal criteria. Remember, not everyone gets a hall pass to infinity board service. And if your board doesn't want to sound corporate, don't make it corporate, make it human. Language that works, show up prepared most of the time. Make a personal and meaningful gift every year. Help us open doors. Introductions count. If life changes, tell us early so we can adjust. Warm tone, clear boundaries. That's the sweet spot. And oftentimes this translates into an annual board agreement. Feel free to email me. I've got templates. So, two, I want you to use a board member agreement, right? I just mentioned this. It's not a scolding document, right? It's an accountability tool. So a low drama tool, right, is that annual one page people, right? Board agreement, not legal. No lawyer is going to enforce this. It's not punitive. It's a shared commitment. It includes, again, those meeting attendance expectations, committee participation, a giving policy with a blank line for a personally meaningful amount, fundraising participation options, because remember, not all board directors have any business making an ask. Some do, they're great. Most aren't. Confidentiality and conflict of interest acknowledgement, communication norms, and everyone signs it annually. So why does this work? Because you're not calling someone out. You're referring back to what they already agreed to. The conversation then shifts from you're not doing enough to we agreed to X, we're currently at Y. What needs to change? Completely different emotional experience. So, number three, we want to make commitments visible so you don't have to nag. No one likes a nag. If accountability depends on memory and private follow-ups, staff end up feeling like they're chasing volunteers. And remember, it is not staff's job to follow up on board work. That's the board's job. It's certainly a recipe for resentment. Instead, we want to make sure that commitments are visible. A simple commitment tracker, a board member name commitment, due date, status notes. It can live in a Google Sheet, a board portal, or the board packet. Here's the key. The tracker is not a punishment. It is a support tool. When it's normal to review commitments, follow-through becomes part of the rhythm, not an awkward surprise. So, another tip, we want to build accountability into agendas. The most effective accountability is boring, seriously, and it's a standing agenda item. The agenda item could look like action items and commitments, 5 to 10 minutes, every board meeting. So at every meeting, you're reviewing what was committed to, confirm what was done, update the timelines, capture new commitments, no sighing, no crappy tone, no sarcasm. No, we all know who hasn't done theirs. Just calm consistency. Use the assume good intent script. Always, right? We lead with this. When someone doesn't follow through, our brains usually jump to, they don't care. They're incompetent. Usually, neither's true. More often, it's unclear expectations, overcommitment, fear of fundraising, personal life stuff, and not knowing what counts. Here's a script you can steal. Today, I wanted to check in on the commitment you made around X. I'm guessing there's a reason it didn't happen yet. What got in the way? And what would make it doable from here? That one question signals respect, invites context, keeps the expectation alive, no accusation required. So next, don't hint, name the gap kindly, right? Clear as kind. Nonprofit leaders love hints. We'd love more help from the board. We're hoping everyone can step up. Everyone nods. Nothing changes. Instead, name the gap without blame. We agreed every board member would make 3 donor introductions this quarter. 4 people have done it, 7 haven't. Let's talk about what support would help or whether we need to revise the plan. Facts, not personalities. Defensiveness goes way down. Next, we want to offer options, different paths, same contribution. One-size-fits-all accountability creates tension. Fundraising comfort varies, time varies, networks vary. Use a menu of participation. Host a gathering. Make introductions. Write thank you notes. Join donor meetings. Share campaign posts. Identify sponsors. Make a direct ask with support. High expectations all. Flexible paths all. Conflict drops to instantly. Now, our job is to support, but not rescue. And for you nonprofit executive directors, this might be the hardest thing for you to undertake. Support sounds like, here's a script. Let's role play. I'll join the meeting. Rescue, a la enabling, sounds like, don't worry, I'll do it. We'll lower expectations. Rescue trains people that commitments are optional. Support keeps the relationship and the standard intact. So eventually we're going to have a sensitive issue, and that requires a one-on-one conversation. Public accountability feels like public shame. If it's personal, missed meetings, disengagement, behavior, handle it privately first. Curious check-in, clear ask, support offered, consequences named, brief documentation, calm, procedural, respectful. So, folks, to be fair, we've got to name consequences in advance. None of this should be a surprise. And consequences don't have to be harsh. They just have to be real and known. So, loss of officer roles, people, that's a thing. Committee leadership changes, no renewal of term. Leave of absence, though some states don't like that, so check with your Secretary of State. And yes, even asking someone to resign. The clean language, this isn't a moral judgment, it's about what the role requires and what the organization needs right now. So holding board members accountable doesn't require conflict. It requires clear agreements, visible commitments, consistent follow-up, support without rescuing, peer-led enforcement, and the courage to name what's true kindly. If you take one thing from this episode, let it be this. Make accountability a system, not an emotional event. When it's routine, it's fair. When it's fair, it stays calm. So here's some inspired action for you. At your very next board meeting, pick one expectation you want honored more consistently and start the calm, clear conversation that makes follow-through possible. The mission is worth leadership. I appreciate you listening, and I'll see you next time. Same truth, fewer filters. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a colleague or board member, and make sure to follow me on your favorite streaming platforms. For additional resources and tools, follow me on LinkedIn. You can also check out my website at inciteconsultinggroup.com. Until next time, have a great week.